Was not planning for this, but we actually get the trade today. So obviously we talked about the possibility of Deontay Johnson being traded in the live stream yesterday. The report from Shefty was saying that it was going to happen by next week, and it is now official. Deontay Johnson traded to the Baltimore Ravens. This is one of the very obvious landing spots. I mean, because if you were looking at Deontay Johnson, the criteria that we had was, one, if you're trading for the guy, you need to be a team that is a true contender. A rebuilding roster has no reason to trade for Diontae. I mean, maybe he could fit on a team like, I don't know, the New York Giants, hypothetically, but it doesn't matter, right? The Giants are playing for absolutely nothing. So Diontae needed to go to a team that could potentially win a Super Bowl. The Ravens can. The Ravens also desperately needed a wide receiver too. Like, let me go ahead and let me see if we can find this. But I mean, maybe one of the funniest clips that we had from all of the games last week was this Deontay Johnson. I'm sorry, this Rashad Bateman clip here, where they go through and you actually see Bateman get hit in the face mask with the ball. And yeah, Bateman was a complete bum. You can just go through and get this guy out of the game, significantly lower his snaps, his routes run, and his targets. Send those over to Deontay Johnson. Diontae has been great so far this season. Now, obviously, if you are looking at Diontae, this is a receiver that has not been viable with Bryce Young under center. But when you had Andy Dalton and this offense was just better than the worst offense in the league, Deontay Johnson was able to find a ton of success in fantasy football. Like, if you go over and look at this, Deontay Johnson was at, can we zoom in on this? Deontay Johnson, 26 points in week 3, 21 points in week 4, 19.8 points in week 6. And these were the exact weeks where the Panthers offense was actually able to go out and do something. Now, obviously, once you transition back over to Bryce Young, all hope is lost for Diontae. But now with this trade, Deontay Johnson maybe has some hope left. Let me pull up where we had Deontay Johnson ranked before this. Obviously, the rankings are over on flogfantasy.com. You can go ahead and look at those whenever you want. If you wanted to look at my rankings, you can just hit sort by Mason Dodd. That will sort by mine. That would be behind a paywall, but it is free to check out the average experts, which is the average of everyone here. And before this, I had Deontay Johnson ranked at about wide receiver 29 in the rest of season rankings, with the hope that Diontae could have found a good landing spot, right? I mean, if we go through and look at the possibilities of where they could have shipped Deontay Johnson, there were teams that were clear Super Bowl contenders that could have used an additional receiver that actually could have funneled passing volume to him. Like, we obviously get the Stephon Diggs news today that Diggs is out for the season. Diontae in Houston, I would have been really excited about. Sending Diontae over to the Niners would have been really exciting. Sending Diontae over to maybe like the Buccaneers would have been exciting, obviously, if they were willing to trade him in division. But this Baltimore Ravens landing spot's absolutely garbage. I mean, already Zay Flowers is inconsistent. I know people are upset that we have Zay Flowers ranked as like a low-end wide receiver 2 rest of season. But realistically speaking, if you were looking at Flowers in terms of the points per game that you've had in fantasy football, and this isn't against this, I mean, this isn't anything against Flowers, right? It's more so just the fact that this is an offense that wants to go out there and run the ball consistently. If you were looking previously at what you had with the Zay Flowers average, Zay Flowers was currently sitting as wide receiver 27 from a points per game perspective. So just a borderline flex. And now obviously that you have Deontay Johnson coming over, I mean, Diontae is a receiver that I don't want to say is going to be the wide receiver 1 here, but he's going to draw more targets than the bum Bateman would, right? So this hurts Flowers, but already Flowers wasn't that exciting. This is the best offense in the NFL, and if it's not the best offense in the NFL, it's pretty damn close to it. But a big reason is because it's a rush-first offense. Lamar's going to have a ton of rushing production in his own right. So this isn't good for Diontae. Diontae could have found much better landing spots. Like, if he would have gone to Tampa, Diontae would be flying up these rankings. But for him to go to Baltimore, this is bad for Flowers. This is bad for Diontae. Like, at this point, there's no way I would rather have Flowers over Evans, Higgins, DJ Moore, Amari, Pickens. The very minimum, we're moving Flowers down here. I think Deontay Johnson, I would actually probably move behind guys like Ladd McConkey and JSN as well. I think gut reaction, we're probably going to be moving Flowers down to wide receiver 31. And these guys will be a little bit more boom bust flex plays, similar to the other options in this range of the rankings, such as DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy going into the future. Keep in mind also that with Diontae, we're going to assume that he's traded in week. So he's probably not usable this week, right? We saw the same thing with Amari, Adams, and Hopkins. None of these guys are viable plays the first week that they get dealt. And at the same time, the Baltimore Ravens had the bye week in week 14 as well. So you're going to be getting no Deontay Johnson effectively in fantasy this week. Even if he plays, you can't start him. And you're going to get no Deontay Johnson in week 14 either. So yeah, I think you have to view Diontae as like a borderline start going into the future, while at the same time, he's going to be missing a few weeks here. Now, Jack asking if Xavier Legette moves up the ranks. So I would love to come out here and I would love to say like, oh, fire up the Carolina Panthers. They're going to be so damn exciting. I drafted a ridiculous amount of Xavier Legette in underdog drafts. I would love for Legette to come through strong. But the issue is in your regular fantasy football league, like looking at Legette, this is a garbage offense, right? Like, would I be wanting to move him ahead of like Keenan, Judy, Tillman? Probably not. I think Legette still is that borderline waiver wire play because Adam Thielen is coming back in, right? So this Panthers offense presumably is going to be the worst offense in the NFL. They're going to have a spread out attack. You're going to have both Thielen and Legette. So while I really hope I'm wrong here, I hope that Legette can turn into an every week starter for you in your regular redraft league. The reality of the situation is, it probably doesn't happen. If we look at how this impacts the quarterback with Lamar, nothing changes. Lamar Jackson was QB1 before this deal. Lamar Jackson is QB1 after this deal. If you look at how it impacts Derrick Henry, nothing changes. Derrick Henry's the top 3 running back before. Derrick Henry's the top 3 running back after. If you look at the tight end position, it will negatively impact Mark Andrews. Like at this point, I think, especially with Goddard coming back soon, I'd rather have Goddard over Andrews. You can make an argument to put Hunter Henry ahead of Andrews as well, just because there will be fewer targets going over to tight end. But still, at the same time, it's not like this was a super interesting spot in terms of what we have with Mark Andrews as a startable option before, and now he's not. Andrews wasn't startable in the first place, right? So that doesn't change anything. And yes, we obviously get the news that Flacco will be starting going into the future. So I am going to be updating the rankings on the site as well to move Josh Downs dramatically up, to move up as well Michael Pittman Jr. Downs is the wide receiver I'd prefer in Indianapolis. But to be completely honest with you, I just got back from the gym. Your boy's starving. I picked up lunch on the way home. That's why we are in our casual attire, not our business attire. Got to be repping Iron Man, of course. But nonetheless, I will update all the rankings on the site with the additional Anthony Richardson news. We'll update all the rankings on the site with the additional Stephon Diggs news. Y'all know we'll be live streaming later tonight where I'll show you those updated rankings. But if you ever wanted to go to the site, check out some updated rankings for free. You can always see the free rest of season rankings, the free weekly rankings, the free dynasty rankings. That would be the expert average. Obviously, if you're a paid member of the site and you want to sort by my rankings, you can go ahead and hit Mason Dodd and it will sort by those. Another thing that I'd highly recommend you take advantage of on the site ASAP is go over to the My Teams page, where you can actually see your power standings in your league. And at the same time, you can actually go through and see the best waiver wire options as well. So you can go down, and this is my team here in this league. This is the Flock League. Of course, we actually just dropped a vlog on this 10 minutes ago on the Flock League YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. But you can see like, oh, in my league, the best waiver wire options according to rest of season ranks. At quarterback, you got Caleb. Wide receiver, you have like Gabe Davis. But I would highly recommend taking advantage of this specifically with your league. All you have to do is go to the My Teams page. If you play on Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, you can link for completely free. The only thing that would cost anything is if you wanted to sort by like my ranking specifically rather than the expert average. But the expert average is completely free. And obviously the free trade calculator, the free trade finder, the whole 9 yards. I'll leave that link for y'all in the description and comment section. I think it should be super useful to use it for your waiver wire. Also, it's cool to just see updated power rankings of your league. But your boy needs to go eat lunch. I'll be live streaming later tonight with the additional rankings updates with the Anthony Richardson benching, as well as what we have with the Stephon Diggs torn ACL. I really do appreciate you, and I really hope I can see you out in the live stream later tonight.